Live from Utah's Wasatch Front, the pulse of the Mountain West, where the issues that shape your life meet the truth that sets you free. Across Utah, across the Republic, and around the world, welcome. This is KMMU. Hello, and welcome back. My name is Trent Christensen, and we're here with Sarah Don Montes to finish the interview. Sarah, thank you for coming back and joining us. To those in the audience, we had a little bit of a technical glitch. We lost Sarah for a moment, but she's able to rejoin us using audio. And well, we're grateful to have you back, Sarah. So let me ask you this. We got all the way up through the Saturday CCM meeting, your participation in the Saturday CCM meeting, and then a meeting on Monday where the other members of the executive team, namely the chair, the secretary, and the treasurer, had made a decision that you had vacated your seat. You explained, and I want to give a little synopsis for the listeners and make sure that I get this right. You'd explained that they said that you had you were unable to fulfill the duties or unwilling to fulfill the duties of your position. There is they also brought up that you had spoken in against the rest of the executive team. So help us understand the reasoning of why they said that you vacated your seat.
Okay, so because I spent the majority of the time on Saturday within the body, like at the microphone and discussing, and I was not up front. So that was one of the reasons. That was like half the reason, and then the other half, I guess, is just that I am undermining the executive committee's decision.
And they actually specifically stated that you were undermining their position as a reason for you vacating your seat.
So Brian Shaw did a piece on this yesterday, and he got Mike's side of the story. And in his video, he says, yes, it's because my seat was vacated, and he got information from Mike. And so, it's because because I wanted to speak to it. That was, I guess, a huge issue for them.
Is there, to your knowledge, tell us, has there ever been a precedent for someone vacating their seat because they spoke during a meeting?
No.
That precedent does not exist. Is that what I hear you saying?
Correct.
And during the time that you had dropped, I had mentioned to the audience that part of this is we're going to reach out to Chairman Carey and the secretary and the treasurer, offer them an opportunity to give their side of the story. But I think that's where it hinges for me is a member of the executive committee allowed to speak at a meeting? And if they do, meaning they actually physically leave the podium, the stage, and go down and speak, does that then equate to vacating the seat? And can they not have an opinion that is contrary to the rest of the executive committee? I mean, that seems to be the hinge on which this decision of theirs rests. Is that how you understand it?
Yeah. So I think what the chair is going to come back and say is that I vacated because I didn't just go down to speak and then come back up. I was down there and speak. I went in line to say something again because there was just so much that I wanted.
Right.
That because I was, he might use the word like hyper focused or like that I was down there and didn't come back up until my officer report.
But you did go up and give the officer report.
Correct.
So then, okay. Let me ask you this. You'd mentioned right before the technical glitch that, it's a difficult position to be in to work with people who don't want you there anyway. And that's politics, right? You're always going to, there's always going to be somebody who's upset with you. In fact, that's probably how you know you're doing your job right, is if there's somebody that's upset with you. But I can certainly understand the notion and the sentiment. So then that being the case, what are next steps for Sarah Montes? What's next for you?
So yeah, I just want to speak to that real quick. It is, in politics, you can't take things personal. Like, if I disagree with them, and even if everybody knows it, I think they're scared because half the body was agreeing with me, and I think that's what they're trying to silence. That's
Yeah.
the whole point of removing me.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And at a certain point, it becomes not about policy anymore. It's about control. If there's a
Mm-hmm.
voice that's speaking out that's against what they want, instead of getting up to give the other side, they just silence the voice. They just take that voice out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I think
And
it's important. Please.
so there was like, I think that they're gonna say that I started talking on our group chat, but I didn't say anything until the secretary decided to put her 2 cents in. And so then I said, well, this is what happened, or I would state something. And then it kind of went back and forth. And I said, if you want to stop, I'll stop. And so I'm just like, I want everybody to know that I'm just, after they're speaking, I'm telling the side that's not being heard. I'm not trying to undermine, but I do want fairness. So that
Excellent.
could be seen as undermining, because the leadership, like, is saying something to all the precinct chairs on the group on the app, and then I say something, and so they see that as undermining. But I see it as, well, let's, like, I just want to be fair. That's it.
Right. And to
I
provide
don't,
a voice.
and I want people to realize that you can agree, you can disagree with the 8 in sending the letter. You could say they shouldn't have done that. Sure.
Sure.
But it's and I think what they're trying to do, and a lot of people are doing, is they're combining the two topics. They're wrong and they deserve this, but they could be wrong and also have due process.
Well, that is certainly how we do things in America, right? And you would hope that the
Yeah.
party that at least nominally pretends to represent the Constitution, that nominally pretends to represent the notion that a representative constitutional republic is the best form of government, would also then use the mechanisms of a constitutional republic, i.e., due process, right, in how it works through
Right.
its issues, in order to ensure fairness. Because process is fairness, and if you're not doing the process correctly, then the people have no voice.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
so let me ask you this, and this is why I asked the question before, and why I want to reiterate the question. You know, your voice has been a relentless voice within the party for what you believe is the right thing to do. You know, if this isn't a position in which you're able to use your voice anymore, there's plenty to do. And I think a lot of people want to know, you know, where can we hear Sarah's voice? You've become influential within the party, and people want to know your opinion, and they want to know where they can find it. So, you know, is it, you know, are there next steps for Sarah that people can kind of follow you?
I'm enjoying this time. It feels like there's been a huge weight lifted off my shoulders, even though I'm still participating. So I went to Gloria's event a couple days ago, and then I went to Jordan's event yesterday. And I'll still be around, still participate, but I just feel free from this, like, toxic environment that it wasn't just them, it was just like a culmination of everything. So it feels good to be away from that. I'm not blaming them. There's just a lot going on there.
Is that how you would describe sort of the atmosphere, the environment within the Salt Lake County Party? Is toxic?
Yeah, not in Salt Lake County, but just with leadership. Like, well, I don't care if people disagree with me or even call me names. Maybe that's what makes me different. But I just think it's funny. But some people take it personal.
Mm. Right. Right.
So,
Okay. So we can look forward to still hearing your voice. You're still going to be a presence on social media, um, and throughout the party and at the different events and whatnot. So let me switch gears for just a moment. As I mentioned before, Sarah was one of our 6 panelists on the inaugural episode of Wake Up Utah. We went through a number of different topics, and I wanted to ask, here while I have you, we talked about elections, and within that there was Proposition 4, and there's SB 54, and mail-in ballots. We talked about the growth in the state. How do we maintain Utah values while still encouraging growth and that sort of thing. If you could list out your top 3, what are the top 3 things that, across all the spectrum that we need to do, the top 3 things that you would say, we need to get these 3 things done immediately to make sure that Utahns are heard, that their voices are heard, and that they really remain the people that run this state. What would those 3 things be?
okay, maybe the first one is just being like fair, and I'm very conservative, but I can see where um we change the rules or bend the rules or have loopholes or whatever you want to call it to get
Mm,
our way. And so I wish we could see more fairness. And that that's for like everything, for I guess bills that are presented, for the
yeah,
maps that are drawn, for just everything. And something that I am a huge activist on is election integrity.
mm,
And I um I believe we need to move away from the mail-in ballots. We've been canvassing and we fraud in them. There's dead people voting, Bush that are voting in our election. That is huge. What all of this for if there's cheating?
right, right.
That's undermining everything. That's not, it's not free at all. It's not fair. So
Mm, yeah, agreed. I remember you'd mentioned you're a math teacher, and you had talked during the panel about some of the things that you did with your students. You know, how do you see the rising generation getting involved and making a difference in the future of Utah?
wow. So just encouraging their involvement. What I did
Mm,
at my school, where I teach, is I went to the principal and I said, "Hey, guys, focus. Hear me?
mm.
Can you
I
hear
can
me,
now.
Trent?" Okay. So
I
one
can.
thing
Can
that
you
I
hear
did
me?
at my yes, is it okay if I continue?
Please do.
Okay. So at my school, I wanted to get everybody involved in caucus, like, or advertise it as much as possible. And so the teachers, I invited all the teachers, and then we even the principal said I could put some flyers up in the hallways. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. But I don't want it to come off as we're just promoting the Republicans. So I
Mm,
give Jade Velasquez a call. He's the executive director of the Salt Lake County Democrat Party.
mm,
And we come up with a flyer. They approve it, and it's just inviting students to volunteer for the caucus. They can choose Republican or Democrat, and the civics teacher would give them extra credit for participating. And then I gave them any students who wanted to participate extra credit if they did some like analysis with the numbers and turnout
mm,
rates.
mm,
So we got a few volunteers for the Democrats and a few volunteers for the Republicans. And I thought that was really cool. So I think that like it worked out great. If we did that more for our caucuses,
mm,
I don't think the schools would have any problem with that. I think it's almost like oh, don't talk about that to the
Right.
kids. Like, nobody wants to brainwash the kids, but we just put the flyers up in the hall, and then I even asked for the parents' emails so that I could make sure it was okay with the parents and let them know where they're going to go or where they're interested in volunteering. So I'd like to see more of that, just getting the youth more educated on how our political system works, and then giving them more opportunities to volunteer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Sarah, thank you. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for jumping back on after our technical difficulty. But, thank you for giving your side of the story on how this went down. Again, we'll reach out to the other side and see if they have an opinion on this. But more than anything, I want to say thank you for being that voice, that relentless voice within the party that says, no, we need to be fair. We need to do this right. We need to have due process. But also, we need to have conservative principles. You can be conservative and want due process at the same time. In fact, those things go hand in hand. And I think you've been one of the most powerful voices in the party, up and coming voices, really, to espouse that and to live it. So, Sarah, I want to say thank you for what you're doing, and excited that you're still going to be that voice within the party and within the movement.
Well, thank you, Trent. Thanks for having me. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they say as well. I hope I didn't come off as gossiping, like I was trying to be very factual, but if anybody wants to chime in and let me know, I would appreciate the constructive criticism. And I'm looking forward to this next chapter, whatever that may be.
And so are we, to watch how you continue to be a force within the movement. So thank you, Sarah. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Trent. Take care.
And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Thank you for everyone. Please become a member, kmmu.org. You can find us on YouTube, Rumble, X. Go to your favorite platform, click the button to subscribe. You can get a newsletter on kmmu.org to follow us. Tune in next week. I'll have Sarah Davenport on. She's a constitutional expert. She's going to be talking about the data centers here in Utah and how if we just followed the state constitution, we wouldn't actually be in this problem. So I look forward to that conversation with Sarah, and I look forward to having you again on our show. Thank you.